Now, no sooner did Justice Breyer announce his retirement than Democrats would swoop in to give him the bum's rush.
We need to do it quickly as possible, swiftly, expeditiously.
We want to move quickly. We want to get this done as soon as possible.
Our Judiciary Committee will operate expeditiously.
They were trying to come up with every synonym for the word quickly. Well, I bet they want it fast. The stories came flying in this morning, right on cue, that the Democrats expect a muted debate over Biden's nominee. Well, as usual, they want to limit debate and preemptively smear the opposition. They must like royalty because they want a quickie coronation. But even Susan Collins isn't buying this.
There is no need for any rush. We can take our time, have hearings, go through the process.
So why the hurry? I'll tell you why. Because this is what the left's dark money trolls want. From the get-go, the push to get Justice Breyer to retire has been spearheaded by a shady network of well-heeled dark money groups that are working to subvert, not just to change or add to our judiciary, but to change our entire system of government and, frankly, our entire way of life. It's a left-wing cartel that we warned you about over a year ago. Meet the opaquely funded group called Demand Justice, which is really just a front group for the 1630 Fund. Demand Justice is led by former Clinton campaign spokesman Brian Fallon, who yesterday revealed how this group bullied Breyer off the court and how they want the court to help validate a far-left wish list of radical policies from climate to gun control.
A year ago, we started publicly calling for Justice Breyer to step down. What I hope happens is that this opens people's minds to what's possible in terms of what the Supreme Court could be, what it could look like, and we start to be a little bit bolder and more imaginative in reaction to rulings that are going to come down in June on issues from abortion to gun safety to the ability to regulate greenhouse gases. And that's going to be an occasion for Democrats to see the need to support expansion of the court.
All that gun safety breaking out in Chicago these days. Now remember, they're not even trying to pretend that this nomination involves complex questions about statutory interpretation, constitutional philosophy, or an analysis. There's only one thing that matters to these vulture activists, circling Breyer, still warm on his spot on the bench. Using the court to do what Congress doesn't have the votes to enact. That's what they want. The better name for the group Demand Justice would be Demand Revolution. And these constitutional assassins don't come cheap. A few years ago, the Washington Free Beacon reported that George Soros' Open Society Policy Center marked that it had sent $2.5 million to Demand Justice for general support. That was between April 1st and June 30th, 2018. Soros' group sent $87,000 more between October 1st and December 31st to support what they call advocacy on judicial nominations. Now, the money's all fungible, but some of that money helped fund the highly coordinated and vile attacks on Justice Brett Kavanaugh's confirmation. They were the ones waving those glossy Stop Kavanaugh signs, trying to derail the confirmation hearings. Now, this same unsavory lot intends to pick Breyer's replacement. They don't deny that they shamed Breyer into retiring. In fact, they're proud of it, even featuring this headline on their website. And Demand Justice ain't fringe, my friends. They have friends and former employees in very high places, including the White House. Biden Press Secretary Jen Psaki and Paige Herwig, who's Biden's point person on judicial nominations, both worked for the dark money group. And today, Psaki was desperate to pre-span any criticisms of Biden's selection.
If anyone is saying they plan to characterize whoever he nominates after thorough consideration with both parties as radical before they know literally anything about who she is, they just obliterated their own credibility.
Oh, really? And so long as she mentioned no credibility, it's not hard to imagine who Biden's going to choose as his nominee. Demand Justice has been pushing Ketanji Brown Jackson for a long time. They even posted this promotional video last March.
Ms. Jackson, brings the entire package in one candidate.
I'm fairly certain that if you traced my family back past my grandparents, you would find that my ancestors were slaves on both sides.
I say justice demands this result.
But she's just getting warmed up.
The good news is that it looks like Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell doesn't intend to let this nomination pass without a real fight. McConnell warned Biden today that he must not outsource this important decision to the radical left. Oh, fat chance for Mitch. Biden's team needs 50 votes in the Senate. And a lot of those votes would have to come from senators who've spent their whole careers trying to distance themselves from the hard left. So it's up to you voters in the states that elected these so-called moderate Democrats to exert as much political pressure on them as possible, urging them to reject Biden's soon-to-be-announced radical pick. I have a question tonight. Do West Virginians who voted for Trump by a roughly, 39-point margin really support a Supreme Court justice who believes in a racial caste system?
Now we understand that white supremacy is not just Nazis marching in Charlottesville. White supremacy is the effort to continue to hold on to power by any means necessary and to destroy what you cannot control, simply because they don't want to share it with black and brown people.
Of course they don't, but Joe Manchin seemed ready to get on board with the Radical Express today.
It's not too hard to get more liberal than me, so it would not bother me having a person who was sound in their disbursement of justice and the rule of law, just because of their personal beliefs.
Well, okay, that means Joe Manchin is willing to vote for a nominee who would use her power to ban the main industries of his home state. Now, remember, the Clean Air Act's language can mean anything to a judicial activist. And the hard left wants West Virginians to go broke. For that matter, they hate Manchin. But apparently he's just willing to forgive and forget. But you voters, not in West Virginia, you shouldn't forgive and forget. It's time to light up Manchin's phone in his office, respectfully let him know how you feel. But West Virginians aren't the only ones who need to call their senators. Here's Biden's current approval rating in red and purple states with supposedly moderate Democrat senators. In Nevada, where Catherine Cortez Masto is up for election, Biden's approval is just 46%. In Georgia, Raphael Warnock's state, Biden polls at a measly 34%. In New Hampshire, Biden polls at 39%. Watch out, Maggie Hassan. And in Arizona, Biden's at 42%. Okay, Mark Kelly, think carefully before you vote in lockstep with the radicals. These Democrats have a choice to make. Are they going to do what the dark money groups want? Or are they going to listen to their own voters? I don't believe voters in any of these states, we forgot John Tester in Montana, want to turn the Supreme Court into a rubber stamp for the MSNBC crowd. Now, let's be clear. If you care about your Second Amendment rights, this nomination needs to be stopped. If you believe criminals should be punished, this nomination needs to be stopped. If you believe that Biden's team doesn't actually have the power to shut down any business that disagrees with Dr. Fauci, this nomination, oh yeah, it needs to be stopped. And if you believe that traditional religious beliefs are protected by the First Amendment, this nomination needs to be stopped. We don't have to wait for the nomination to get started. We know exactly what the left wants. A blank check to rewrite the Constitution and every U.S. law that gets in the way, regardless of the actual language. Now it's time for senators across the country to hear from real Americans who want to keep their freedoms. This country belongs to us, not to Biden's donors, and it should stay that way. And that's the angle.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.